right, let's talk about Game of Thrones. So, at the beginning of this episode, we're at the wall with Jon Snow, and he's basically telling people that he's leaving and that he has decided to go south. So, while he's making these plans to leave, here comes Sansa, Brienne, and the crew. And it was such a touching moment to see Jon and Sansa reunited. He was so surprised to see her. And I don't know, they just had this wonderful embrace, and it was just a good Stark moment. Later, Sansa tells Jon what basically has happened, and they have this discussion about what it is that they're about to do next. And she says that she feels like they should go and get Winterfell back because that's their home. And at first, Jon is adamant about it. He's like, look, I'm tired of fighting. I'm tired of going through it because every time I try to do something good, I fail. So his confidence is a little shaken. Sansa is trying to encourage him to go back and get their home back because that's the right thing to do. Davos is talking to Melisandre and he's asking her where she's going to go. And she says wherever Jon Snow goes because she believes that he is the prince that was promised and she will go wherever he says to go. And while they're standing there, Brienne walks up to them and she admits that she's the one who killed Stannis and that she wasn't sorry for it. In the next scene, we have Littlefinger, and he comes to see, oh, what is his name, y'all? Drop it below. Please tell me his name. But he's basically the lord over whatever area that is, right? The little boy who likes to throw people down that hole. Okay, y'all know who I'm talking about. Him. So Littlefinger goes to visit him, and I guess it's his birthday, and he gives him a falcon. And Lord Royce walks up and he questions Littlefinger. And he's like, look, what's really going on? What are you really doing? Because the last thing I heard was you dropped Sansa off and she married Ramsay. Like, what's going on? So he basically questioned Littlefinger's motive. And so I don't know why he tried to push Littlefinger. He must have forgot who he was. Because Littlefinger was like, you know what? The only reason why that Sansa even had to go and be with Ramsay was because we got ambushed on the road. Now, who else knew that we was out here other than y'all? So to me, I think you's a snitch. I think you the one that told where Sansa was, and that's how Ramsay got us. That's the only logical explanation I can see. Right? So he flipped it on him. So he asked the little boy, what should we do? You know, and at first the little boy was like, should we throw him down the hole? So Lord Royce is looking like, oh no, this little boy might really kill me. Like, how did we get here? You know? And so Littlefinger basically persuades the little boy to not kill him, to kind of let him live and let him go with a slap on the wrist if he promises he'll never do something like that again. Lord Royce just took a deep breath and he stepped back and realized who he was fooling with. Don't come for me, because I didn't send for you. So Littlefinger basically encourages the little boy to get the Knights of the Vale to side with the Freys to go help Sansa um, against Ramsay. So in the next scene, we shoot over to Meereen where Daenerys' council are gathered together and they're about to have a meeting with all of the masters. Now, Varys and Tyrion think that it's a good idea to have a sit down and talk to them. But Grey Worm and Missandei, they're like, I don't even know why y'all calling them here. Like, y'all shouldn't even talk to them. They're evil people. This is not gonna work, right? So they're against it. But they go ahead and have this meeting. So while they're sitting down having the meeting, it's expressed that what the masters want is for Daenerys and all of her crew to basically leave. Like, just go away and let us get back to, having slaves and doing what we were doing. And Tyrion said, well, that's really not going to happen, but we can give you 7 more years of slavery. And then after that, you know, it's gonna have to end. Within those 7 years, y'all need to be finding another way to make money. And Tyrion told them, look, having slaves is not the only way to make money. We didn't have slaves. I'm a Lannister. And we were buku rich, right? So find another way to do it. And and Tyrion says that one of the problems was that Daenerys came and just freed, she stopped slavery altogether, but she didn't put anything in play to kind of replace what was going on so that it could be a win-win for both situations. The masters could have some kind of way to still make money, and the slaves could be freed and they could, go do whatever it is that they wanted to do. So they agreed to just keep slavery going for 7 more years. So after the meeting, Missandei and Grey Worm, they're still upset with Tyrion about what happened. And even some of the people confronted them about it. And while they were standing there, some of Grey Worm's people was like, how could you let them come here? Why are you negotiating with the enemy? And Grey Worm took up for Tyrion and he said it's better to have peace. And they also hit Missandei up too. They were like, why would you be cool with this? This ain't right. And once again, she said, hey, it's better for us to try to make peace and work it out than for us to always be at war with each other. And so Tyrion had their support, which was good because, see, to the people in this area, Tyrion is a foreigner, and they look more to Grey Worm and Missandei, as a leader type figure, and Daenerys, obviously, but she's not there. So hopefully they will stop funding the Sons of the Harpy, at least for now. But Grey Worm, he don't believe it. He's just like, look, I understand that you're trying to make peace and everything, but they're not going to be legit. Just when you think you're using them, they're really using you. So, I mean, Tyrion has to take that into consideration. In the next scene, we have Dario and Jorah, and they basically have tracked Daenerys down. So they're right at the city where all the Dothraki are. Jorah tells Dario to ditch his weapons because they can't bring that into the city. And while they're talking and going back and forth and, taking off all their weapons, he notices Jorah has grayscale. So that night, they rush into the city and they try to save Daenerys. But as they're getting into the city, two Dothraki see them and they automatically know that they shouldn't be there. And so they end up having to fight and kill the two guys. And Jorah says, look, if they find these guys and especially him and he's stabbed, they're going to know someone is here that's not supposed to be, So Dario picks up this rock and he basically beats the guy senseless with this rock to this bloody mess. And I guess it's to make it look like another Dothraki, like they got into it and they killed each other or something. So Daenerys and another girl from the temple, they're taking a walk because Daenerys had to get some fresh air and she said she had to use the bathroom. So they're walking. And as they're walking, Jorah and Dario see them. And they say, come on, Daenerys, let's go. And Daenerys is like, no, we can't leave like this. I have a plan. In the next scene, we have Marjorie. And she's taken to the High Sparrow to talk to him. And while they're having this talk, he reveals to Marjorie his awakening, his spiritual awakening, basically. And he says that there was a time where he thought the grass was greener on the other side. He acquired money and, he had this big feast and he invited all of his friends and it was women and good food and fun and music and they partied all night long. And he said when he woke up the next morning, it just kind of hit him. Like, what is all this? This is the life that I thought was so glamorous, and it's really not. He said that he felt like the beggars and the people on the street, they were closer to the truth than he was. And so that was his awakening moment. And so after he tells Marjorie this, he lets her go see Loras. And Loras is in the cell and he looks so broken and shattered, like his emotionally he looked battered and bruised, right? And he was on the brink of confession. Marjorie was trying to convince him to stay strong, you can do it, don't break, just hold on. And he's like, look, I just want it to end. Whatever I got to do to make it end, I'm ready to do that because I can't take it anymore. Marjorie is way stronger than him. And he even said that, he knows that he's about to break. In the next scene, we have Cersei and Tommen talking. And he's basically expressing the fact that he wants to go get Marjorie because that's his wife, that's the queen. And of course Cersei has to interject, what about me? What about what they did to me? And so Cersei talks with Marjorie's grandmother, the Queen of Thorns, and they're basically trying to decide what they're going to do. And Cersei tells her, you know, that they're gonna make her do that walk of atonement. She's gonna do it. They're gonna make her do it. Watch. And immediately the Queen of Thrones is like, nah, we can't let that happen. And Cersei was like, well, we gotta do something now. And Cersei Nim's uncle, I forget his name, he's there and he's like, well, I mean, it's really nothing that we can do because the king said that we have to stand down. Like, don't go in there provoking any of them because he doesn't want a war to break out. And so they come up with this plan that the Queen of Thrones, she's gonna get her soldiers and they're gonna march in on the city and bum rush it and save Marjorie and Loras. So Theon makes it home and he knows that his father has passed away. So he and his sister have this long conversation and she thinks that he's there because he wants to take the throne. And he says, no, I'm here because I think you should be the ruler. So I think that he and his sister are going to be on the same team. They're going to team up and try to make that possible. In the next scene, here we have Ramsay. Y'all know how I feel about Ramsay. I'm so sick of him, so tired of him. And I knew as soon as the Wildling girl and Rickon got there, something horrible was gonna happen to both of them. So in this particular scene, we have the Wildling girl and she's talking to Ramsay and blah blah blah. They're just going back and forth talking. And she tells him, I know what you like. So she comes and gets on his lap and stuff, and she's, all trying to, seduce him and things of that nature. And she's really trying to reach for this knife he put down, like on the table. So as soon as she reaches and grabs the knife, she comes up and she's getting ready to stab him, and he stabs her in the throat and kills her. Y'all, I knew that nothing good was gonna happen to her once she was in the care of Ramsay. Luckily, she didn't get raped and, ate by dogs and who knows what else filleted. I mean, who knows what he would have done to her. So I really think that even though it was a brutal way for her to die, I would rather her get stabbed in the neck and bleed out than for him to treat her like this plaything, slave, have her raped and just all kinds of malicious stuff that he is capable of doing. I'm sad to see her go because I really liked her character, but I mean, they with Ramsay. Anything can happen. I am really nervous, y'all, about what's going to happen to Rickon because Ramsay is a monster. So, in the next scene, they take us back to the wall. And they're all sitting around eating dinner. And did y'all see the wildling guy? What's his name, y'all? Drop it below. Y'all seen the wildling man and how he was giving Brienne the eye? Did y'all see that? Like, I thought that was so funny because when Brienne them first showed up, he was looking at her like, oh, who is that? And I just think it's hilarious because most men don't go for Brienne because she's such a big woman. She towers over so many of the men. And she's an excellent fighter, so you can't talk sideways to her because she will bust you in your mouth. Like, she's that type of chick. So for him, I guess he's looking at her and he's like, oh, she's an Amazon. I'm trying to see, if I can climb that, see what's up. And I just thought that was so funny. And she's looking at him like, what you looking at? So they kind of have that little moment or whatever, and it was funny. And then while they're sitting there, talking, oh my goodness, John gets this letter from Ramsey, and he keeps calling him a bastard, and he keeps saying, come see. And he tells him that he has Rickon, and that he just wants Jon Snow to come for him. Just come on. And he says that when he gets Sansa back, he's gonna rape her, and he's gonna let everybody else rape her, and they're gonna kill Rickon in front of him. I mean, it's just all this stuff, all this mean, nasty stuff that Ramsay wrote. He's basically antagonizing him. He just wants to get Jon Snow riled up so that he can, meet him somewhere and they can fight. And so for Jon Snow, I think this was the final straw. When he gets this letter from Ramsay, he knows he's gonna have to do something. Like, he can't just run away from it. And I think that they're gonna fight. He's gonna fight. He's gonna get his wildlings together, and they're gonna team up with a whole bunch of other families of the North. You have to think about it. Littlefinger, he's also gathering people around to help with the fight against Ramsay. So I think that it's gonna be big. So the last scene, honey, they saved some of the best stuff for last. Okay, so in this last scene, they have Daenerys, and she's going before the Khalasar, all the leaders. They're all in a room, and they're deciding the fate of Daenerys. So the men, they're all talking crazy to her. I don't know why they always want to say, I'm gonna sleep with you, and I'm gonna, pass you around to everybody, just make you a slave. They always try to do this sexual intimidation thing with women. What's up with that? And Daenerys is just looking at them like, no, that's never gonna happen. All this little stuff y'all are talking about, it's just not going to happen. And she basically talked down about their manhood, and she said, you really, none of y'all are fit to lead. And they just kind of looked at her like, who are you talking to? Girl, you just don't understand. We about to rape you right now. Like, what are you talking about? And she says, I'm more fit to lead than you. So that's what's going to happen. I'm going to be the leader. And they're all looking at her like, you must be crazy. She's crazy. Do y'all hear this? She's crazy, right? But honey, little did they know they was fooling with a Targaryen. Okay, they must have forgot. Okay, or they just did not know who they was fooling with, baby, because Daenerys knocked over these big boulders of fire, and honey, she burned all of them up. She burned them all up. And they were just looking at her like, I can't believe what's going on. Before they knew it, honey, they was on fire. And because Daenerys is a true Targaryen, mother of dragons, of course she didn't burn up in the fire, right? So everybody is noticing that this building is on fire. And they knew that all of the leaders were in there, right? And then all of a sudden the door opens up and out walks Daenerys. She's naked, but she don't have a burn mark on her. It was reminiscent of when she burned Drogo's body, and she went and she laid there with him. She held him in the fire. And when she, ascended out of the fire at the end, untouched, still alive, she earned the respect of the Dothraki. And all of the different sections of the Dothraki, like everybody, they all bowed down to her. Jorah did too, so did Dario. So I think she just gained the whole Dothraki nation. Like, she just gained all of them on her side. Now y'all know that I thought that there was no way that she was going to be able to walk up out of there without the help of her dragons. But once again, she had to prove it to me again. Excuse me. I don't need the help of the dragons, to do this, because I am Daenerys Targaryen, honey, and I got this. I don't need no help. I can get up out of here by myself. And that was her plan, because she knew that she had to go before all of them, and she would get to have all of the leaders in the same room at the same time. So by killing all of them, she's the leader now because she had more power. And I'm just real excited to see where the story is going to go from here. Go, Daenerys. Thanks for watching, and I will catch you later.